The truth about the school system.
So you're a titan of industry in the early 20th century. You've monopolized the oil industry and destroyed competitors using shady business practices. Why would you want competition? Competition is terrible unless you have control over it. Better yet, why not teach people that they cannot compete? After all, you don't want a nation of thinkers, you want a nation of workers. You are John D. Rockefeller.
That is a real quote from the richest man in the world at the time, or in America. I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. But what's his connection to the school system?
Is the dark truth of the school system. In 1903, John D. Rockefeller founded the General Education Board, and within 5 years, he would donate $1.27 billion today, adjusted for inflation. Why would Rockefeller donate such a large sum of money toward American education?
So John D. Rockefeller was the man that donated a majority of the money to start the school system and was on the board. And he's the man. This is the man that said, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers.
And his fellow robber barons are not loved. Ordinary Americans resent their wealth and power. Oil tycoon John D. Rockefeller, his son, John Jr., decide to redeem their public image. John Sr., to win American hearts and minds, publicizes his philanthropy.
Did he donate his money because he is a good person? Did he donate his money because he truly cared about the American education system? Or did he donate his money to indoctrinate American society? The whole idea of assembling masses of students to be processed by teachers in a centrally located school was a stroke of industrial genius. The whole administrative hierarchy of education, as it grew up, followed the model of industrial bureaucracy. The very organization of knowledge into permanent disciplines was grounded on industrial assumptions. Children marched from place to place and sat in assigned stations. Bells rang to announce changes of time. The inner life of the school thus became an anticipatory mirror, a perfect introduction to industrial society. The most criticized features of education today: the regimentation, lack of individualization, the rigid system of seating, grouping, grading, and marking, the authoritarian role of the teacher, are precisely those that made mass public education so effective an instrument of adaptation for its place and time. Alvin Toffler, Future Shock, 1970. Everything Alvin Toffler just said shows the impact that the school system has on kids. It indoctrinates them to become a part of the workforce. And in the early 20th century, this was perfect for titans of industry like Rockefeller. Pumping children through the school system created less entrepreneurs, meaning less competition for Rockefeller. But obviously not everyone can be a billionaire, so what's so wrong with the school system? Honestly, for the average person in the 19th and early 20th century, the school system was great. It provided free education and prepared them to join the workforce, allowing them to contribute to society and provide for their family.
At the time, the average person, there was less upward mobility because lack of technology, there's no internet, a lot of things that can cause barriers to entry when it comes to mobility. You kind of had to own land, you had to come from generational wealth at the time. So it was created and it was helpful to the people, which is probably why it swept the nation. But it doesn't neglect the fact that it was created to create an industrialized society, a society of workers, of where people are used to doing repetitive tasks through their entire life, every single day. And so how does a work office look much different than schooling? It doesn't. Especially major corporations that have cubicles and the fluorescent lights and scheduling and meeting. It's all very, very similar.
Today, traditional schooling is outdated, and this became especially noticeable when the pandemic hit. With the introduction of the internet, the education system should have had a massive change, but it didn't advance nearly as much as the rest of society did. With the introduction of the internet and better technology, so many more jobs were created. The sad part is, for years now, we've been told by our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents that the only way to be successful in life was by going to college.
The reason I believe that this is such an important piece of history, of information that every single person should know, is that a lot of people say, I'm not entrepreneurial. Back in the day, you had to work on the farm. You had to sell the goods. You had to sell eggs. You had to sell the chickens. You had to sell the beef cow. You didn't have a choice to be not entrepreneurial. But because of the indoctrination of the system to create workers, that is a fact. It is a fact that the system was created to create workers. You are now not entrepreneurial. You are now a worker. And you think it's an internal spirit, something that you don't have, an ability that you don't have, when in reality, it's something trained out of you. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying everyone's going to be an entrepreneur. I'm not saying everyone desires to be an entrepreneur, but there is something to say for the entrepreneurial spirit, the person that is going to work to better their future, not just work for the man, come to work and think, how can I make these systems better so the company can do better and then I can make more money, not just pull up and do my work at the cubicle and leave? That would be the indoctrination, right? So everyone has that entrepreneurial spirit, I 100% believe, built into them. Look at people that retire, that work their whole lives at a cubicle. They retire and then they pick up some sort of hobby, right? They pick up some sort of hobby and it requires them to learn something new. It requires them to allocate a space for it and time every single day. And then they learn the skill to a point where they're very proficient. But hobbies are work. I don't know if anyone's realized this, right? Humans are created to work. If we're left alone and had no job, we're going to make ourselves a job and we're going to call it a hobby. We're going to call it a labor of love. But I'm saying this because everyone has the entrepreneurial spirit and it has been destroyed from the system. So next time you're going to your 9 to 5 and putting in the minimal amount of work and quiet quitting, I think they call it, just know that's what they want you to do. That's what the system was created for you to do. And next time you say, I just can't work my way up, all the mega corporations are just out to get me, just know that that's what they wanted you to do. You have free will, you have choice. The whole system was set against you. But once you realize, oh, it's not me, I was trained this way, you might realize, if I wasn't trained this way, would I be different? Would I be pursuing something else? That's why I think it's massively important to at least understand this, because then you might start thinking outside the box. At least understand the school system so you can start to think, if I wasn't in that school system that taught me to be a worker, would I be doing something else? Then you realize maybe yes, let me actually just go and do that. Let me deconstruct everything I know from industrialized work and school, and let me create a life that I'm excited about, that I can add a value to the community and provide for your family. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe, and comment down below. I want to know what you guys think about this. Peace.